What's up guys, welcome back to Couple Tech Talks, and well, I am super excited for WWDC 2017, and pretty much today we're going to be talking about everything you need to expect for WWDC 2017. So first of all, when is this going to take place? Well, it's actually going to take place from June 5th to June 9th, because if you didn't know, WWDC stands for Worldwide Developers Conference, and essentially this is when all the app developers come to this huge conference that Apple holds, and they basically see all these new permissions that Apple is allowing for the developers to get into their apps, and all these new technologies that developers can add to their existing apps that they've created. So it takes multiple days. There are many sessions, but the keynote is where the real stuff is announced, where the new software is announced, the new products, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more later in this video. But essentially it's taking place from June 5th to June 9th of 2017. And this will be taking place obviously in California. It's live streaming on Apple's website. I will be watching it live. Unfortunately, the tickets are really expensive, so it's not like you can go and see the products and see the software for yourself in person. But when it comes out, I'll be sure to do a review on it. Now here are the expected announcements. Number one, and this is definitely the most likely, iOS 11. Honestly, it's been happening every single year at WWDC for who knows how long. Maybe even it might even have been every WWDC is when Apple releases new iOS. When I say releases, I don't mean they release it to their iPhones and iPads. I'm just saying they announce the new features that are going to be upcoming and the new technologies that are going to be coming in iOS 11. Now personally, I don't know about iOS 11, but about the naming scheme, it might be called Phone OS. It might also be called iOS X or something. I don't know. They might choose letters or something. But I just don't really see Apple using iOS 11. It's kind of an ugly name. I mean, the next one next year, what they're going to call it, iOS 12, and eventually it's going to sound ridiculous, like iOS 29. I mean, you can see how the numbering scheme after 10 is just not really going to sound great. Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about these iOS 11 features, but let's just go over what else Apple is rumored to be announcing at this WWDC event. They are rumored to announce Mac OS 10.13. Essentially, this is a new version of Mac OS with fresh new features, and essentially they're going to be calling it Mac OS plus a California name, as their new naming scheme is they take a place in California, and that's how they came up with their name for the new Mac OS. So last year it was Mac OS Sierra. The year before that, actually, they used to call it OS 10. OS 10 El Capitan was last year, or 2 years ago, and then the year before that was OS 10 OS 10 Yosemite. Before that, it was Mavericks. The third thing that Apple is definitely going to announce at WWDC 2017 is watchOS 4. So again, new features coming to the Apple Watch and Apple Watch Series 2. We're really excited for this, and again, I'll be talking about new features that are coming out for all these platforms in just a second. And then also we're getting tvOS. If you didn't realize, Apple last year debuted the first upgrade on a keynote for tvOS. So essentially we're going to be seeing tvOS 11 this year, and essentially it's going to be upgrades of new features and new technologies coming to your Apple TV. Keep in mind though, this is only for Apple TV 4th generation, so only the new one has the complete redesign and the new processor and everything. The fifth thing that Apple will or may or may not release and announce at this event is the Siri speaker, which could also be called Apple Home, Apple Speaker, something like that. Essentially, it's a smart speaker to compete with the Amazon Echo and Google Home. And then sixth, and this is probably the least likely, but they might give you a sneak peek of the Mac Pro 2018. Now, essentially, a couple of weeks ago, or I should actually say more like a month ago, there was a little interview with Phil Schiller, and he talked about how the Mac Pro that they released in 2013 actually let a lot of pro users down, and that Phil Schiller said in the future Apple will be focusing more on the professional community as they did at the beginning. With their original customers, it was focused on professionals. Now let's go back to the beginning and talk about some more specific features in these platforms and these things that Apple will be announcing / releasing. So first, iOS 11. Some rumored features include group FaceTime calling, up to 5 people. I mean, this is something that Apple should have honestly had a much long time ago, but unfortunately they don't have it, and it should definitely be coming in iOS 11. The second feature is a new icons and a complete redesign of the entire system and how it looks and feels. So the last major redesign was in iOS 11, and I have to admit it's getting quite old. The icons are getting old, it's getting stale. Bring us something new, Apple. Even if it's just a redesign, it's gonna get people excited again. Even though it's not real innovation, it's definitely something that people will like. The third is a major Siri overhaul. Maybe a new voice, or maybe just an upgraded voice so that sounds a little bit more human. We don't know yet, but essentially Siri right now is so far behind all of the competitors. With contextual awareness and just overall background technologies, it's just not very sophisticated, not as sophisticated as Google Assistant or Microsoft's Cortana either. And not even Samsung's Bixby, which debuted with the Galaxy S8, which is also far superior to Siri or anything else. Fourth is dark mode. Now this is something I really want to see in the new iPhone and maybe in the new iOS as well. Essentially the dark mode would be a sort of a blackened, darker version of the current iOS we love. Essentially it should be used mostly at night to make it easier on the eyes in the dark background around you. A full dark mode, not just like darker windows or darker like reduced brightness or something. We want to see a real dark mode with blacks and everything. I just think it would look super dope. The next one is a new Apple Music update that can include music and video streaming that could also debut Apple's original content. Now, this new Apple Music update that includes music, will it include a new redesign? Probably not a huge redesign, probably just like a couple of tweaks to the current UI of the Apple Music app. I mean, they changed it last year at WWDC. I don't think they're going to change it again every single year. So it's probably going to stay mostly the same. They're just going to add a few things. I'm actually going to pull up a couple pictures right now. So actually, if you look at this picture I pulled up, the radio section has actually been replaced by a watch section. That could be watching video content, streaming video content within the music app, the Apple Music app. I think that'd be pretty cool. Apple has some new original series coming out, like Planet of the Apps, and also Carpool Karaoke, which they acquired. So I think that would be really cool. The release date when it comes out to your devices will be September 2017, but the actual beta will start coming out within a few days after WWDC. So most people are going to be making YouTube videos on this, and I'm not sure if I can maybe get the beta on my iPhone or not. I don't currently have an extra phone to use, so I'm a little bit unsure of whether I'd be able to install a beta version of iOS 11, but if I'm able to, I will definitely make videos on it. And then I just thought of another suggestion for Apple. If you still haven't, for some reason, if you haven't decided what you're going to call iOS 11 yet, you can call it maybe colors like iOS Neon, iOS Lilac, etc. I think that sounds pretty cool as well. Or they could rename, like I said before, iOS to Phone OS. The second thing, macOS 10.13. So what are some new features that we can expect? So Apple really in the recent years has been really conservative with these updates, and that's really a shame. But this year, here's what we're expecting. Improved Siri, pretty much the same improvements as we're going to see in iOS 11. New redesign, maybe new voice, make it sound more human, more contextual awareness, things like that. The second feature is improved continuity, so for example, handoff, iCloud desktops, etc. Just a better way and a more seamless way to integrate all of your Apple devices under one ecosystem. The third is Apple Pay improvements. Now, I just saw this in a Mac Rumors blog, so I'm not really sure what this exactly means. Maybe this means more acceptability from additional merchants, or if there's like a new way they're gonna do they're gonna do Apple Pay on the Mac. I don't know. But it was in Mac Rumors, and you can check that article in the description below. The new iMac accessories that could debut a keyboard with the touch bar. I think this is a great idea, and then that would definitely improve Mac sales. It can't hurt to have the touch bar included with your keyboard, and I really think that'd be a great addition to the Mac lineup. New icons. Now, if you look back at historically, Apple usually redesigns the icons for iOS and then a year later does it for macOS. For example, in 2013 when Apple redesigned the icons in iOS 7, they actually didn't do it to OS X Mavericks, which is also being released at the same time as iOS 7, but actually waited until the next year to redesign their icons in OS X Yosemite. So we're probably going to see the same thing if they redesign the icons in iOS 11. I really hope they do. In iOS 11, they are not going to redesign the icons in macOS 10.13 until 2018. But anyway, it'd be really cool to see some new icons and just see some sort of continuity between the two macOS and iOS. So yeah, I really don't know much about iOS, macOS software updates in general. We know a lot more about iPhone 8 and other devices, hardware devices, but we don't really know as much about software updates. So we're gonna see at WWDC in less than a month. The third, watchOS 4. Now I personally don't own an Apple Watch, but I have some friends who do, and I'm sure some of you watching have an Apple Watch, so you are gonna love what's coming this time. A sleep tracking app. Now this is a way to add to all the new personal details that your Apple Watch already provides you. Better battery optimization, maybe a low power mode. There's a power reserve mode, but it actually is not really like a low power mode. What we really want to see is a battery conserving application built in to watchOS that will allow you to continue your normal functionality with the watch while saving battery life. Custom watch faces. Now this would be really un-Apple-like if they made this a feature, but custom watch faces would definitely be a great addition with third-party manufacturers able to make watch faces for the Apple Watch. The customized digital crown functionality, meaning that you can customize the digital crown button on the side of your watch to open whatever app you want or perform some certain task, whatever you want, just by pressing that button. A news app and a notes app. I think news is more likely than notes because notes, it's a little bit harder to type on your watch, and then more independence in general from the iPhone. tvOS 11. Okay, so what are some rumored features? We really don't know much about this, but maybe some 3D touch-like features that can provide extra functionality when you click an app or click something on the software. Support for third-party game controllers. This would be the best if you could get an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller and use that to play games on your TV. That'd be awesome. A price reduction for Apple TV. I don't know how likely that is, but if it's possible, that would definitely improve my chances of getting Apple TV 4th generation. That could maybe show off some tvOS features as well. Now the fifth thing that Apple is rumored to release / announce at this event is the Siri speaker. Probably going to be called Apple Home or Apple Speaker, I don't really know. But pretty much it's going to be a smart speaker that can actually interact with you. Now it's actually rumored to have a screen, and the reason why I think this is because Phil Schiller said in another interview, yeah, he's doing a lot of interviews, that the problem with current existing smart speakers is that you actually can't interact with it with a screen. And he says that this kind of interaction between man and machine is very counterintuitive. So there's a pretty good chance, unless he's going to be really self-contradicting, for there to be a screen on the new Siri speaker. Very much like the Echo Show from Amazon, which just came out a few days ago. I might make a video on it on news now, I'm not really sure yet. So some rumored features is a companion app, which will be the home app, presumably. Companion app to control some of the functionality of the Siri speaker. Siri voice integration that can answer questions about the weather / general information, schedule calendar events, order you an Uber or food, etc. We'll probably be using the new overhauled Siri that we're seeing on macOS 10.13 and iOS 11. It will play music through Apple Music, of course, not Spotify or anything else like that. It will be open to developers. There will be some special integration with Beats products, maybe some special connection or something, some kind of pairing technology, we don't really know yet. And it will come in 2 colors, black and white. The price tag is rumored to be around $100 to $200. I don't know how likely this is, but presumably it's not going to be too expensive, but it is going to be quite a bit of money to pay. The release date is most likely September 2017, but Apple is really busy with the iPhone 8, so they might delay it to December 2017. Now, finally, the Mac Pro 2018. What are we expecting for this? Well, some rumored features include a new design, so smaller than the 2006 Mac Pro, which was gigantic, but it's actually bigger than the 2013 Mac Pro, as Apple is focusing more on including all that power that developers or professionals really need in order to get their work done. It'll be modular in its ability to swap out different internal parts. I think that'll be really cool, so you can replace the RAM with newer RAM like DDR5, DDR6 RAM, or something like that. The parts, again, will be really accessible. Will there be USB-C integration? I really hope they do. I really hope they don't use obsolete ports. It will be shipping alongside a new Apple 5K monitor. If you thought Apple was done with Thunderbolt monitors, they're actually not. They're making their own monitor, and they don't really like the idea of associating themselves with LG's monitors. It will be a cinema display and 27 inches and a 5K resolution. Will the Mac Pro be less expensive? Probably a little bit, maybe starting around $2,500 or so. The current one, I think, starts around $3,000, so this will be maybe like a $500 price reduction. The other option will be a Mac Mini that could be announced, but I think a Mac Pro is more likely. You can see Apple's website for the full specs on the current generation Mac Pros. Apple added like a little bit of an upgrade a few months ago, but they didn't really make any changes. Also, this Mac Pro, the upcoming one, should be manufactured in the US like the last generation. The release date for this is December 2017 / January 2018. It should definitely either be in Q4 of 2017 or Q1 of 2018. Now, you can learn a lot more in the links description below. I'm putting a lot of links to pretty much everything I've talked about in this video, so go check out all those links in the description below. Special shout out to Mac Rumors, who hooked me up with a lot of really great rumors articles, as well as Mac World, which also made some great articles. So a special thank you to them. And yeah, as you can probably tell, I talked a lot about this video, and I'm really excited. But time will tell. Maybe Apple will disappoint. We don't know. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I will see you as always in the next video.